Tonight on Cronkite News, how Arizona legislators are working to help families with rising costs.
Plus, a new rocket is going to space. The ASU-NASA partnership finally launching after pandemic-related delays. The mission scientists hope to accomplish.
And the Arizona Diamondbacks are in Philadelphia to take on the Phillies in their first championship series appearance since 2007.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Jesse Broaders.
And I'm Jacob Luthi. Thank you for joining us. The cost of inflation continues to impact the wallets of families in the state. Many are worried about not being able to feed their loved ones or pay for rent. Cronkite News reporter Adriana Gonzalez-Chavez tells us how Arizona officials are working to help alleviate this.
Tatiana Peña was happy to hear about the news.
We've noticed that the price of food has gone up immensely. When you're raising 5 daughters, they're really hungry. So that's a lot that we have to pay for. And the fact that we've had so much inflation hasn't helped out.
Peña has struggled buying clothes and gas for her family. This morning, Republican state legislator Jake Kaufman announced the Arizona Families Tax Rebates.
To ensure that they can keep the fruits of their labor, have as much money in their pockets as possible so that they can choose where their dollars go.
Arizona families can expect to receive a one-time tax rebate of up to $750. Households must have a tax liability of at least $1 in order to qualify for the check. A report by the Common Sense Institute Arizona showed that back in March, they reported inflation about 8% in Arizona. The most recent report done in September showed that inflation went down in the state and is about 4%. It also noted that rent for the first time decreased since June through August. The new budget forecast was released Wednesday. A panel made up of public and private sector economists expected to have a $10 million surplus by the end of the fiscal year, but they have now forecasted a $400 million deficit.
I feel that this is going to be a financial relief on Arizona families for right now, and then hopefully we can make some extra changes throughout the nation.
Peña thinks this relief is a good start, but hopes to see more in the future. In Phoenix, Adriana Gonzalez-Chavez, Cronkite News.
A battle Arizona has faced for years, the opioid epidemic. Thousands of lives are lost in Arizona due to opioid overdose. Arizona authorities and leaders have many programs to prevent substance use, and one filmmaker's mission is to educate the community on fentanyl in hopes to prevent more deaths.
Getting the Xanax from?
Yeah, he said it, his friend. So what I assumed was his friend had a prescription, and at the time, that's what Tucker believed.
This is a clip from filmmaker Charlie Min's latest documentary, Fentanyl Unlimited.
You got to be really careful today. If you put a pill in your mouth, you better be damn sure where it came from, because all it takes is for someone to lace it with fentanyl. 2 milligrams of fentanyl, you could die.
Min brings awareness to tough topics through documentaries, and he says speaking with those who have lost a loved one is a big challenge.
That's the most difficult job for me, is to meet a parent who lost their son or daughter. That's permanent alteration moving forward.
According to the Arizona Department of Health, 1,147 people died from opioid overdose this past week. And on average, more than 5 people die every day from opioid overdoses in Arizona. In a statement, Senator Kyrsten Sinema says, to begin to address our country's fentanyl crisis, we must first stop the flow of drugs over the border and into Arizona. Together with first responders, health organizations, and community partners, we remain laser focused on solutions to prevent, treat, and reduce substance use disorders in Arizona. Organizations such as Drug Free Arizona went up to the window and the DEA have programs to help the community. The Governor's Office of Youth, Faith, and Family states on their website that they are committed to supporting communities in their efforts to combat substance misuse and abuse through grant funding, outreach and prevention efforts, and more. Min will continue to help communities across the nation until he sees results.
We need action, we need change, because the results are simply not there.
In Phoenix, Sydney Whitty, Cronkite News.
The other big story tonight, the Israel-Hamas war. And according to CNN, a staffer saw 5 UN fuel trucks enter Gaza today. These would be the first fuel trucks to enter Gaza since before Hamas's attack on Israel on October 7th. After the Hamas attacks, Israel closed its border crossings with Gaza. The Rafah crossing on the Egypt-Gaza border is the only other crossing in and out of Gaza. According to CNN, it's been closed for much of the past week. And Senator Mark Kelly took shelter with other senators in Tel Aviv on Sunday amid a Hamas rocket attack. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the group was in Israel to show support. Republican Senators Mitt Romney of Utah, Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, and Democratic Senator Jackie Rosen of Nevada were also on the trip. A settlement has been reached over one of the former President Trump's most contentious immigration policies.
The proposed court settlement announced today would stop the federal government from separating immigrant children from their parents for 8 years. If approved by a judge, the settlement between the Biden administration and this ACLU would provide families split under the Trump administration with temporary legal status and short-term housing aid, according to the Associated Press. Families would receive the housing aid for up to a year. The settlement would also give parents authorization to work in the U.S., as well as other medical benefits and legal services.
Meanwhile, a judge overseeing Trump's election interference case in Washington has issued a gag order. The order prohibits former President Trump from speaking about prosecutors and witnesses, among others. The judge says the punishment, if this order is violated, would be sanctions, and they will be considered on an as-needed basis. In a statement, Trump said the punishment is, quote, an absolute abomination.
Former Navajo Nation President Jonathan Nez announced today that he's running against Eli Crane to represent Arizona's 2nd Congressional District. Nez served one term as Navajo Nation president in 2019. Nez, who is from Tuba City, said in his announcement video that he understands the struggles that 2nd District families are facing right now. Tuba City is the most populous town in the Navajo Nation.
Coming up next, analyzing where we came from. ASU partners with NASA to launch a rocket to study the asteroid belt. The hope scientists have for the mission and the reason they will have to wait a while to see if their mission is a success.
And taking a look at our weather, we have this evening's temperatures and how long we are going to be in the 90s when we come back.
ASU's one and only student-run radio station, Blaze Radio, provides students with opportunities to cover a variety of topics. From music,
this is Sensei Garage,
to sports coverage,
against the Brewers in his last outing, he went
to news.
The bill also gives parents the ability to sue.
And entertainment updates. Blaze Radio offers a fun environment to gain valuable broadcast experience. To find out more, visit blazeradioonline.com.
Did you know newsrooms today are looking for bilingual journalists? Cronkite Noticias prepares you to cover diverse communities. In Cronkite Noticias, you will obtain an unforgettable experience.
Nopales como este van a tumbar.
Cronkite Noticias.
And develop your skills with the latest technology.
Three, two, one. Cronkite News. Get real professional experience in areas such as reporting, broadcast editing, and behind-the-scenes production, such as technical director and audio.
Kill the mics.
Or go out in the field and cover important local stories.
Learn and master the English language.
In a fun, welcoming atmosphere. Cronkite News. The future starts now.
Here at the Walter Cronkite School, students produce award-winning content that focuses on health disparities in underserved communities and how to turn things around. In Cronkite News and Cronkite Noticias, students cover stories that affect people of color, the LGBTQ+ community, people with disabilities, and others across the Southwest.
We highlight big problems that are often overlooked in communities that are underserved.
Those stories not only inform and educate people about the challenges, but we work hard to highlight potential solutions. In the Cronkite Agency, students work to connect with community members through social media campaigns in English and Spanish.
Being a Hispanic myself, it's nice to be able to give back to my own community.
Find more of our health coverage at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Welcome back. A major interstate in Colorado was still closed this morning after a train derailment.
That derailment forced the train onto a semi-truck, sadly killing the driver inside. It happened yesterday on I-25 just outside Pueblo. Several of the train cars were forced off the track, and some of those cars fell onto northbound lanes of the interstate. The cars were carrying coal, which also spilled onto the roadway. It's still not clear what caused the train to derail.
A new congressional report finds wildfires could cost the U.S. economy nearly $1 billion a year. The report by the Joint Economic Committee looked at several factors, including the impact on real estate and health risks from smoke. And it found those costs add up to $893 million each year. That's up from $427 million projected by the Trump administration when he was in office.
Meanwhile, sales of non-alcoholic beer are soaring. According to the Wall Street Journal, sales jumped 32% last year. So what's the reason? Some think it could be due to better technology, which makes for a better tasting beer. And a few academic studies have also found younger people drink less alcohol because they are more aware of the health risks.
Well, we're halfway through October, but the high temperature is still hanging around 3 weeks into fall. Sydney Whitty joins us now with how hot it's going to be this week.
It sure is fall, but here in the valley, the temperatures aren't making it feel like it. Right now, we're at 95 and are only going to dip down to 87 at 10 p.m. We'll see some light breezes throughout the evening as well. Taking a look at our low temperatures, 71 in Phoenix, 66 in Yuma, and 32 up at Window Rock. That'll be our lowest low, and Grand Canyon at 34 as well. In our high temperatures, the southwest region of the state will be seeing triple digits. 101 in Phoenix, that will be our highest high. Lake Havasu City, Yuma, and Bullhead City, all at 100 degrees. But up in high country, 74 in Flagstaff, 77 Window Rock, and 78 up at the Grand Canyon. And let's not forget about Tucson down there at 94. And taking a look at our future cast for you Philly fans and Diamondbacks, it looks like for the game tomorrow night, they'll have some light showers and some sunshine to enjoy their game. But by the time they come back on Thursday for their home game, 101, we could handle it, but will Philadelphia. Saturday through Sunday and the beginning of next week, we'll see double digits once again with a slight chance of rain on Monday and Tuesday. I'm Sydney Whitty at the Cronkite Weather Center. Back to you.
Thanks, Sydney. After close to 6 years of development and a delay of more than a year, NASA has launched their Psyche mission.
The mission has close ties to ASU, including Psyche's principal investigator being based out of ASU.
4, 3, 2, 1, engine ignition. And liftoff. Liftoff of Falcon Heavy and Psyche.
The rocket was launched on top of a SpaceX Falcon rocket from the Kennedy Space Center on Friday. The goal of the mission is to study an asteroid also called Psyche. That asteroid is located between Mars and Jupiter. The project was initially selected back in 2017, and it was supposed to launch last August, but the team cited pandemic-related delays. The mission is not yet a success, as scientist Jim Bell told Arizona PBS in a special report. It will be a long time before NASA gets results from the mission.
After launch, we cruised through interplanetary space for a number of years. First, we fly by Mars for gravity assist that'll slingshot us into the asteroid belt. And then we're thrusting all the way from there to finally arriving at Psyche.
If you stayed in the valley this weekend, you may have been lucky to see a solar eclipse. This was no ordinary formation. Scientists refer to it as an annular eclipse. This happened on Saturday. You see a rendering here. The annular eclipse create what many have dubbed the Ring of Fire. A total eclipse happens when the sun completely covers the moon. The thing that made Saturday's formation different was the edges of the sun were still visible around the moon. The best places to catch the eclipse were in New Mexico and Texas, but NASA projected some would be able to see close to 80% of the Ring of Fire here in the valley.
I'm Sam Stern, and coming up next, I'll have tonight's edition of the Cronkite Sports Report. We'll take you through how ASU volleyball's historic success this season is an ode to the program's 50th anniversary.
ASU's one and only student-run radio station, Blaze Radio, provides students with opportunities to cover a variety of topics. From music,
This is Sensei Garage,
to sports coverage,
Against the Brewers in his last outing, he went
to news,
The bill also gives parents the ability to sue.
and entertainment updates. Blaze Radio offers a fun environment to gain valuable broadcast experience. To find out more, visit blazeradioonline.com.
Did you know newsrooms today are looking for bilingual journalists? Cronkite Noticias prepares you to cover diverse communities. In Cronkite Noticias, you will obtain an unforgettable experience
Nopales como este van a tumbar.
Cronkite Noticias.
and develop your skills with the latest technology.
Three, two, one. Cronkite News. Get real professional experience in areas such as reporting, broadcast editing, and behind-the-scenes production, such as technical director and audio.
Kill the mics.
Or go out in the field and cover important local stories
We learn and master the English language.
in a fun, welcoming atmosphere. Cronkite News. The future starts now.
Here at the Walter Cronkite School, students produce award-winning content that focuses on health disparities in underserved communities and how to turn things around. In Cronkite News and Cronkite Noticias, students cover stories that affect people of color, the LGBTQ+ community, people with disabilities, and others across the Southwest.
We highlight big problems that are often overlooked in communities that are underserved.
Those stories not only inform and educate people about the challenges, but we work hard to highlight potential solutions. In the Cronkite Agency, students work to connect with community members through social media campaigns in English and Spanish.
Being a Hispanic myself, it's nice to be able to give back to my own community.
Find more of our health coverage at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Good evening and welcome to your Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Sam Stern. The Diamondbacks are facing a tough Philadelphia Phillies team tonight in Game 1 of the National League Championship Series as they continue being the Cinderella story of the MLB postseason. This will be the Snakes' first championship season appearance since they were swept by the Rockies in 2011. They'll need to rely on each other with another series starting away. But for first baseman Christian Walker, there's nothing better than playoff baseball, especially near your hometown.
Not a lot of us have been here. It's uncharted territory to some extent. It's exciting. It's fun, but it's cool to look around and see the excitement in your teammates' faces and the motivation and all that. It's easy at this point in the year. You're putting the team first. It's win at all costs.
The Arizona Cardinals headed to LA to face the Rams, and their stout defense, led by Aaron Donald, kept the Cards out of the end zone, winning this one 26-9. Although the team is still somewhat proud of how they're playing, Arizona's focus will be on having a stronger fourth quarter presence that can elevate them beyond the preseason projections.
We've had the lead. We're playing very well. We just got to somehow figure out a way to come together and finish these games because the morale is still positive. Everyone knows that we're a good football team. We've been in every single game. We just got to somehow finish these games.
The Phoenix Suns are back home for preseason action as they play tonight against the Portland Trail Blazers. As many remember, former Suns center DeAndre Ayton was traded to Portland less than a month ago in the Damian Lillard sweepstakes for a package headlined by Yusuf Nurkic and Grayson Allen. Ayton did not play in Saturday's game against the Utah Jazz, and the chances of him playing against his old team will come to a game-time decision. Tip-off is set for 7 p.m. 50 years in the making. ASU women's volleyball has killed it on the court. With the new tenure of head coach J.J. Van Niel, history could repeat itself. Cronkite sports reporter Kenji Ito has more on how the program's rich background is leading the Sun Devils to success.
From Desert Financial Arena to Mullet Arena, the 2023 season for ASU women's volleyball celebrates its 50th anniversary. With past alumni and packed crowds in attendance for their first 2 home games, the Sun Devils are seeing early success in this anniversary season. Under first-year head coach J.J. Van Niel, players say there's a new energy around the team.
Being here last year, obviously there's a lot more fans. We love the engagement with them. JJ is very big about making it a community. So it's just really fun to see everyone out here and coming to support us.
In honoring this milestone, ASU's very first volleyball coach, Mary Littlewood, paid tribute to the team. Littlewood praised the players for how well they represent the maroon and gold.
When you as Sun Devil athletes go out on the court or go out on the field, you're representing that team, but you're also representing me and everybody else who's come before you.
ASU women's volleyball has had many successful teams over the years. However, their success not only comes from their play on the court, but the family bond they have created with one another.
Yeah, I think that our team is a family. It's like I think the best team that I've ever played with in terms of making sure that we're playing for each other, not for ourselves individually.
Family bonds aren't the only thing that is built through the volleyball program, as many alumni have developed another quality that has helped them after their time at ASU.
I just think it's been a great experience. I think we have a lot of strong young women that come out of this program, and I think they become great leaders, and there's a kinship to it. And I think they're great examples for all the young girls playing here in the Valley.
The ASU women's volleyball program has built a successful culture they hope will continue for at least another 50 years. In Tempe, Kenji Ito, Cronkite News.
And staying with the Sun Devils, ASU football is in the midst of a lengthy losing streak. Its last 2 losses both came down to a field goal in the last few seconds, and the Sun Devils haven't been in the win column since their season opener. It's been challenging to remain optimistic about the past when the future holds more tough Pac-12 opponents.
I mean, I obviously, from a football standpoint, I've looked back and, a lot of what ifs, a lot of, man, that was close. If we just did this better, we could be 3-3, right? If we just did this better, we could be 4-2. I mean, it's just that, but that's how close football is, and that's why winning is hard.
And speaking of football, the International Olympic Committee is officially including 6 new sports in the program for the 2028 LA Summer Olympics. Those sports are flag football, baseball, softball, cricket, lacrosse, and squash. 4 of those sports have graced the Olympic stage in past games, but 2028 will be the debut year for flag football and squash. We'll see if any NFL players decide to suit up in the red, white, and blue. A quick correction, earlier I said the D-backs' last NLCS appearance was in 2011, but it was actually in 2007. That's it for your Cronkite Sports Report. Jacob and Jesse, back to you.
Coming up next, the election surprise.
And it did not have to do with either of the candidates. The special feline visitor that made a surprise visit to the polls when we come back.
We tell ourselves stories as a nation.
These stories need to be highlighted, they need to be explored. We're the dreamers.
How serious is America's commitment to looking at its history? How can we learn from the past?
Douglas said, "You're going to look me in the eye and see my humanity."
It's illuminating. I'm seeing the expansiveness of my history.
It's pretty great.
There's so much richness to Black life and Black culture.
I think the story of Muslims in America is the story of America.
Tonight, they are free.
I cannot imagine how excited he must have been.
It's a wonderful feeling. This is why we do this.
It makes me even more committed to struggling for a better world.
Here at the TV Production and Graphics Lab, we are behind the scenes making the news happen.
Gain experience in the control room directing, teledirecting, and rolling the audio of every Cronkite News show. Run the floor and work in a professional environment, honing your skills for the future. Create graphics that will be seen by the local community on Arizona PBS. Be a part of the bloodline that makes the Cronkite News shows possible.
ASU's one and only student-run radio station, Blaze Radio, provides students with opportunities to cover a variety of topics. From music,
this is Sun City Garage,
to sports coverage,
against the Brewers in his last outing, he went
to news.
The bill also gives parents the ability to sue.
And entertainment updates. Blaze Radio offers a fun environment to gain valuable broadcast experience. To find out more, visit blazeradioonline.com.
Welcome back. One voter in Poland decided to add a little bit of humor while voting during a key parliamentary election.
The man brought his pet cat. Take a look at this video. This happened in the city of Wrocław over the weekend. The cat you see is named Kukula. As you see, the man known as Mr. Krzysztof brought Kukula into the voting booth. He says he brought his cat so it wouldn't be lonely.
That's it for Cronkite News. Thanks for joining us.